Hi, welcome back. This is Anime from Accelerated Excellence and True Awakenings NLP Coaching and Training Center. So, taking on from the previous recording where I spoke about the reticular activating system and how this is a gatekeeper to the information that we receive from our nervous system and the 50 bits that we land up experiencing on a conscious level, and showing you the picture of what your reticular activating system looks like. So very, very important thing to become aware of is that your state of mind is really your state of being. What we focus on in our thoughts is going to be what we experience in our day. So the thoughts that we hold in our mind has a direct effect to our body. And so in 2005, there was a study done by the National Science Foundation. And in this article, they said that there's about 12 to 60,000 thoughts that run through our mind every single day. Now, other experts speculate that up to 80,000 thoughts are going through our mind every single day. And we're not even aware of any of them. You know, every time I use this example, say there's between 50 and 80,000 thoughts going through your mind. You know, you can imagine people going, oh, what am I thinking about? Okay, there's one. You start consciously looking for them and becoming aware of, yes, there's definitely thoughts there. Now, 80,000 thoughts, you know, that's a lot of thoughts happening every single day. And yes, guys, it's the same for men and women. We just probably verbalize more. But what they found in the study is that 80% of those thoughts were perceived as negative, and 95% of those thoughts were repetitive. Okay, so that means that we are saying the same thing to ourselves over and over and over again. And if those are 80,000 thoughts that's going through there, and if it's 95% of that repetitive, then damn it, we better get those thoughts on our side and align to where we want to go and align to what we want, right? So if 80% of that, you know, I've spoken in one of the previous recordings that the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. So the love frequency, they really, really, on a metaphysical level, believe that there's only one real emotion on this planet, and that's love. And everything that is the absence of love is what we refer to as fear. So those are the two major predominant emotions that we recognize is love and fear. And hate is a derivative of fear, and all the other negative emotions that emotions only negative if we hold on to it and becomes unprocessed. Emotions are just little warnings, actually, and we'll talk about that. But so if we hold on to something and it's not processed, then it can become negative for us. But now fear is something that's in our environment a lot, especially of late. So it's always there, by the way. It's not just of late. It's in the news. There's so much information out there. I mean, I'm so privileged to do what I do and work in the field that I do, because I get to be exposed to phenomenal people and things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. And so I get the flip side of the coin, and I choose not to watch the news, and I choose not to just be exposed to one side of the story, and to get my information from multiple different sources, so that I can keep it balanced, you know, so that I can control if it's going to install into my unconscious mind, if it's going to come through my senses and be imprinted with repetition into my mind, damn it, I want it on my side, right? So if 95% is going to be repeat, I want to do the work once, and then I can let it go and not worry about it, because then it keeps on looping there on autopilot. So if 80% of it is negative, it's because we're spending too much time paying attention to negative stuff in our environment. It's because we are being bombarded with fear around us, and that is influencing what is being filtered into our world. So we've got to take control of our filtering process. And again, I just reiterate the importance of controlling your environment. I don't have control of other people, but how I label those experiences, how I internalize them, as I referred to it in the previous recording. Your internal representation is the meaning that I give to that, you know. So how do I label that information for myself? Is it labeled in a negative, or is it labeled in a positive? Because these thoughts will have a tremendous effect, and then it has an effect on your self-esteem and your confidence, your opinion of self, you know. So I'd like to ponder about this. It's going to be a bit of a tough one, but if you spoke to your best friend the way that you sometimes speak to yourself, how long do you think you'll remain friends for? It's a scary thought, because, you know, every time I ask this question to clients of mine or friends or family, you know, it sort of forces you to think, well, how do I speak to myself then? And I don't think my friend would stick around for long if I spoke to them in the same way. Now, if those thoughts that you have around yourself are negative and put you down, then that is going to repeat for 85%, 95% of your day in your unconscious mind, and you're filtering, and you're going to just get more evidence to back it up, and it's becoming like a chicken and an egg, and you say, you see, I told you so, there is the evidence, there's the proof of what I was thinking, and it just reaffirms that belief in your mind, and then it just keeps on looping there, right? So we've got to challenge that. So I want to give you some little insight to what's actually happening in your brain when these, because thoughts are electrical by nature. And the brain then has a hypothalamus, which is like a little mini factory, tiny little mini factory in the middle of your brain. And this hypothalamus turns this electrical thought into chemistry, into biology, into a actual protein neuropeptide. And it becomes like a mass email that's sent out to every single cell in the body. So if you think of this pen as the neuropeptide, so this hypothalamus releases this neuropeptide, hundreds of them. So if you think of something that's made you sad, or you think you're in your environment, something that produces fear, the brain then creates this neuropeptide, and to the cell, every single cell in the body has this lock and key system. So it has this docking station on the side, and this neuropeptide then locks into the cell wall. And this is how the chemical is now giving the instruction to the cell that, oh, okay, I'm thinking of something that's made me sad or afraid or angry or whatever it might be. And then the cell goes, okay, I have to behave accordingly now. So if it's a thought that made me angry, then all of a sudden I'll fist up and clench up and change color in my face, and my breathing would increase, and I might clench on my teeth. And so physically, my body is starting to express what was just a thought a moment ago. Now, what happens if you think of something like sadness, an event, and there's a thought that repeats, that produces the chemistry of sadness molecule or neuropeptide, and you go to your doctor and you say, I really just feel down and low and heavy and sad all the time, and they're going to say, what? You have a chemical imbalance in your brain, and medication that then forces the brain to produce a different hormone, dopamines or serotonin, which is 80% in the gut, by the way, not the brain. So, which is why food's important, and water. So it forces your brain to produce different chemicals to create balance in the brain. So we have to deal with those thoughts that causes the sadness. You have the best pharmacist right here. We just need to get out the way and give it what it needs. So what is it that I need to think? If there's an unconscious pattern of sadness running in my mind, I'm just using sadness as an example because I think everybody can relate to depression, anxiety, fear, you know, if you don't deal with these patterns, they become big. They create disorder in the body and dis-ease in the body, and that is what causes us to actually create illness. It's because the body is out of harmony, out of order, and out of ease. Now, when we have a balanced chemical structure and our thoughts are actually just positive and light, it actually creates more alkalinity in the body, and the body is healthier. You'll have more energy, and I understand. You know, I lost a friend years ago, and I've always had this need to save the world vision, and I felt like this person died on my watch, so I took it very personal, and I would say I went into what I call a forced depression. I forced myself to cry every single day because I thought, how can the world just move on? That there's a person that no longer exists. There's a hole of where there used to be a person, and that hole's not filled. And I would actually induce the sadness, listened to music and did whatever, looked at photos, did whatever I needed to cause that internal state until I cried. So, you know, at some point I needed to deal and process with that event and label it in a different way that said, hey, maybe take off that superwoman cape that you think you arrived here with, and, you know, and maybe it's not about you, maybe that person's journey was totally unique and it had nothing to do with you, but what can I learn from that? And how did I have to label that experience to put it in a positive way in order for me to use it in my life in a productive way going forward, and to retain balance, harmony, and ease in my body. So it is that voice in your head. If you are criticizing yourself, you're going to create chemistry that affects you physically. If you are going to be kind and polite and loving and caring to yourself, different chemistry, different physiology. So that's how we can control our thoughts, and you need to do so consistently. So don't judge those thoughts as you become aware of them. Remember, your conscious processing speed is only around 220, 225 kilometers per second, where the unconscious or the deeper level of the mind, the impulses there travel at 160,000 kilometers per second. So, you know, just accept that if they're there, you catch them, you go, wow, okay, didn't know you were there, don't know where you came from. But is it serving me? And if it's not serving me, how do I flip it around? So how could I label that differently? So flip that negative thought into a positive. Change it. You have 17 seconds to do so before it imprints back into the unconscious mind. The more you focus on that, the more you're going to start cleaning up those thoughts, the more control you take over those thoughts, the more repetitively you do it, the more the repetition will install, and you no longer have to do the work consciously, and it'll do so unconsciously. And then the 95% of repetition becomes more positive. Your health will become more positive. Your state of mind is healthier, so your state of being is healthier. And how you behave will be more productive, and you'll actually stop procrastinating because you like yourself more. So you'll do the things you need to do to make your life easier, better, and happier for yourself. So start controlling those thoughts, becoming aware of them first. The unconscious imprint is part of the filters, which I said in the previous recording I'll get to, and definitely in the next one. These thoughts are there because of these installed unconscious filters through our lifetime and our existence and our experiences of life. So they are running on autopilot. So for now, become aware of them. So as you think of those outcomes that you want and those goals, what are the thoughts coming up? What are the reasons that you are giving yourself right now for not having it, your life, exactly the way it is? And they might be reality statements for you, so they might, beliefs are something you really believe, so because I don't have the same belief doesn't mean it's not true for you in your world. And so if you say, no, that's not a limiting belief, that is actual fact, well, it might be your fact, but still be a limiting belief. So think about anything that could be standing in your way, even if you think it's something that's justified. I made a decision at the age of 10, which I thank goodness I've let go of, not to trust people. That's a hell of a decision to make at the age of 10. But when I made it unconsciously then, it served a great purpose. And then I needed to face that and say, well, is that still true for me today? And maybe it is true in certain areas, and maybe it's very true in certain environments. If you're going to put me into in Hillbrow, where in between all the drug lords, then I don't want to trust anybody there, and that's a necessary belief to have. But being in family, being in a relationship, being in a business, that could become something that limits your success. So write down all the reasons, all the thoughts as you become aware of them. What could possibly be standing in your way, because those are the things that's in your filters, and if we don't know what's there, we can't change them. Okay, so not judging them, because you might not even know where you even picked it up or where it came into your awareness. Just go, hi, that's fascinating. Where did you come from, you sneaky little one? And then write it down so that we can address them. Okay, so thoughts are incredibly powerful. They are electrical currents. They affect us. They become physical. So your internal state, the way that you feel, is a result of what you think. Okay, so you don't like how you feel, go pay attention to what you were thinking, change your thoughts, changes your feeling. The feelings are not the facts. The feelings are representing how you feel about what you think is your facts. Okay, so pay attention to those thoughts, write them down, especially all of the things that you think standing in your way from getting to your outcomes, your goals that you want to achieve. Write them down, become aware of them. I'm going to talk about the filtering system in the next recording, and one of those filters is your belief system, which is where these thoughts are coming from. Okay, so again, sending you much love and hope you found that useful. And if there's any questions, please just put them in the comments section. I'm getting bombarded with people from the Facebook Messenger, but I don't have time to get to everybody. So as it comes up in the comment section, I can address them. Okay, so have a beautiful day and see you in the next recording.